Persepolis, ancient capital of the powerful kings of Persia.
This site is one of the most important archaeological sites on this planet.
A mysterious metropolis at the heart of the greatest empire the ancient world has ever seen.
They were so powerful, they had no real rival.
What is this city, and what can it reveal about the world's first great empire?
It really reveals a revolution in how to run an empire.
Today, investigators have unique access to the ruins of this ancient metropolis. They use pioneering technology to forensically hunt for clues to map this lost city, unearth its dark past, and discover the hidden story of the first imperial powerhouse in the world.
This was once the greatest and richest city on Earth.
To unlock the secrets of ancient Persia, we resurrect the empire's mighty capital, the lost city of Persepolis. We digitally reconstruct the king's luxurious palaces, explore their magnificent rock-cut tombs, and reveal their groundbreaking engineering innovations. To discover how the Persians rise to dominate the ancient world. Persepolis, located in the plains of southern Iran. It is a colossal stone city encircled by the Zagros Mountains, built in the 6th century BC. Today, this vast city lies in ruins and is wrapped in mystery. Now, our cameras have unique access to follow investigators at Persepolis as they explore this once mighty ancient capital.
It's truly a marvel of the ancient world. There's no other site like this. It's totally unique.
In the 6th century BC, Persepolis is the beating heart of the first world empire, Persia. It controls almost half of Earth's population. Spectacular ruins here hold the key to its rise to power. Ancient writers describe the city as a marvel to behold. The ancient Greeks write of a magnificent palace complex at the heart of Persepolis. Below are the private houses and gardens of wealthy citizens, all fenced in by a triple wall topped with battlements. Beyond it, the city continues to sprawl for 2 miles. And a majestic city gate marks the outer limits of Persepolis. It's a vast metropolis the ancient Greeks describe as the richest city under the sun. Is there any truth to their account? Archaeologist Kourosh Mohammadkhani is an expert in geophysics. He's on a mission to find traces of the lost city.
The Greek writers describe a large city, bigger than the Thrace ruin.
The ruins of Persepolis stand on a massive artificial terrace carved into a mountain. It's the size of 6 modern city blocks and surrounded with tall masonry walls. At the entrance, a 55-foot-tall gate leads to an extravagant complex of splendid palaces, courtyards, and vast, magnificent halls. It is the jewel in Persia's crown. But the Greeks describe a much grander city. Where's the rest of it? Writers say the first wall surrounding Persepolis is just over 23 feet tall. At the base of the palace complex, Kourosh examines the terrace wall.
Their wall varies from 13 to 41 feet, averaging 27 feet high. This may be the first of the three walls mentioned by the Greek writers.
If this is the first wall, where are the other two and the gate? In the Persepolis plain, there are no obvious ancient structures to be seen. But Kurash believes these walls may still be buried underground, waiting to be unearthed. Kurash uses a magnetometer to undertake a magnetic survey in the field north of the complex. His results reveal an incredible structure hidden just a few feet beneath the Earth's surface.
There are a number of animals here. Clearly, this man-made structure here, and it's huge.
The survey reveals a hidden complex containing a series of rooms, each around 200 square feet in size. Is it part of the lost city? Kurash compares his magnetic survey to plans of the Royal Terrace.
Its layout and its orientation lines up with the building on the terrace complex. It strongly suggests the site is the heart of the lost city.
This newly discovered set of buildings is also for the Persian royalty.
We have a lower part of the city, and on the terrace, we have the upper part. This seems to match the Greek description of the city.
Kurash returns to the results of his magnetic survey to hunt for the missing walls and gate of Persepolis. He makes an intriguing find.
There are more animals here. I can see two lines running parallel in east-west orientations. These are two massive walls.
The newly discovered double wall and palaces suggest the royal quarter of Persepolis is much larger than experts previously thought. But the Greek sources suggest the city of Persepolis extends even further beyond these walls. Kurash searches for telltale signs of ancient buildings. 2 miles from the royal quarter, he spots an unusual feature on the landscape.
Strangely, there is a number of mounds here.
Kurash examines the results of another magnetic survey. It reveals the ghostly outline of a massive structure buried beneath the surface.
We found a large structure here. It's incredible.
Here, archaeologists uncover hundreds of glazed bricks from the dig site. What is this mysterious structure? A clue lies more than 500 miles away in the ancient city of Babylon. Capital to the Babylonian Empire, it is one of the first cities to fall to the Persians on their campaign of conquest. Guarding Babylon at its entrance is the Ishtar Gate, a 45-foot-tall edifice flanked by huge defensive walls, all faced with brilliant blue glazed brick. Like the mysterious structure unearthed in Persepolis, it is decorated with carved reliefs of exotic animals. The new discovery in Persepolis bears a striking similarity to Babylon's Ishtar Gate. What can it reveal about the size of the city and the rise of the Persian Empire? In 539 BC, the Persian king Cyrus the Great conquers Babylon. This victory adds over 200,000 square miles of territory to his empire, and one of the most advanced cities of ancient times. To commemorate his victory, Cyrus builds a replica of Babylon's Ishtar Gate on the edge of what will become Persepolis. Kurosh believes it may mark the boundaries of a new city and be the start of the grand entrance to Persepolis.
It's incredible. This structure is the gate of the lost city.
Kurosh's finds match many of the Greek tales of a huge walled city. Incredibly, their accounts are rooted in reality. The Greeks also claim that the legendary metropolis is full of treasure and unimaginable riches. Does this lost city truly hold the wealth of the Persian Empire? Clues carved into the walls of Persepolis may provide the answer. Persepolis, an ancient stone metropolis and capital of the world's first great empire. Today, only a small fraction of the city remains. But many clues of its past glory are embedded in the fabric of the architecture. The Apadana Palace is one of the first buildings constructed at Persepolis. On its monumental staircase, exquisite reliefs show scenes of people arriving at the city, and a royal declaration written in several languages. What can these clues reveal about the palace and the Persian Empire?
Working in Persepolis, it's fantastic. It is one of the most important archaeological sites in the world.
Archaeologist Ali Asadi investigates the inscription on the staircase. Ali believes it is a vital clue to how the Persian kings rule over their vast empire.
These inscriptions surely were engraved to be seen.
The text declares the Persian ruler as the King of Kings.
The King of Kings is a key phrase in the Persian Empire. It means that there was a great king who ruled over the smaller kings.
The inscription reveals how the Persian kings govern their world empire. Once they conquer a nation, they keep the local kings in power. They are tolerant as long as they are obeyed. How vast are the territories under Persia's control? Ali examines the frieze on the Great Staircase.
These are procession of different subject nations of Persian Empire who brought their gifts for the great kings.
The frieze shows the individual nations that make up the Persian Empire.
Here are the Greeks. They brought bowls, some textiles, and colored wools. Here are the Egyptians. They are identified by their long robes.
The Persians capture much more than Babylon. Ali discovers that Egypt, the cradle of ancient culture and independent for most of its history, is now part of this mighty new empire. Incredibly, it also incorporates some Greek city-states. The territories don't stop there. The long procession depicts many more peoples. The relief is remarkably detailed, helping Ali identify who everyone is.
There are many other nations here: Armenians, Medians, Assyrians, Nubians.
This vast scene reveals the expanse of the Persian Empire. It spreads from Eastern Europe to the Indus River, from the Sahara Desert to the western edge of the Himalayas. In total, the wall displays 23 nations, covering an astonishing 2.1 million square miles. The relief reveals the local rulers are bringing gifts here to Persepolis. It's proof of the size and power of the Persian Empire, and it explains the city's legendary wealth. Who is the ruler of this enormous empire? Ali follows the frieze to track down the emperor. He arrives at a depiction of a larger-than-life figure.
All of the gifts from the subject nations were given to the great king, who was Darius the Great.
A successor to Cyrus the Great, Darius I rules the mighty Persian Empire from 550 BC, during its golden age.
These are some of the most important and finest gifts from their respective regions. They were the best and most luxurious objects from each nation.
The wealth of Persepolis the Greeks describe can be seen in these stone reliefs. Darius, the King of Kings, grows richer and richer as his territories pay tribute each year. He uses this wealth to build the first palaces at Persepolis. But the Persians are traditionally a nomadic people. And just a few hundred years earlier, they had little knowledge of monumental architecture. How do they create these colossal buildings? A clue can be found in the artistic elements visible all over the city.
The upper part of doorways and niches, as we see here, is taken from Egyptian architecture.
Hidden among the ruins of the site, Ali examines clues of more distant nations. Lotus flowers. These are ancient Greek symbols. To build Persepolis, the Persians used the genius of all their empire. Darius rules half of the world's population, giving him a huge pool of skilled workers. For Persepolis' buildings, he uses Babylonian brickmakers. They bake the bricks in fire kilns to strengthen them. Greek and Egyptian stonemasons carve the palace columns and bas reliefs that decorate his palaces. And goldsmiths from Anatolia fashion exquisite golden ornaments for his banquets.
So this is the wealth of Persia that the Greek writers are referring to. It's not just gold and silver, it's knowledge.
However, some innovations at Persepolis are totally unique. Can clues inside its magnificent palaces reveal how the ancient engineers of Persepolis create a wonder of the ancient world? Persepolis, the Persian Empire's ceremonial capital. Created from the conquered wealth and assimilated knowledge of its vast territories. On the terrace complex, archaeologists unearth the Apadana Palace, a huge building and an architectural masterpiece. Behind 40-foot doors, 36 pillars soar 65 feet into the air. Each column is gently tapered and topped with 9-foot-tall stone capitals, supporting a huge wooden roof. How do the engineers create a monumental building unlike anything the world has seen before? Ali Asadi investigates the base of the columns of the Apadana Palace.
The base has a circumference of 71 inch.
He measures the distance between the pillars.
The pillars are far from each other. Each one is spaced 256 inches apart.
A distance of 21 feet separates each column. The wide spaces between each pillar make Persepolis unique. In Egypt and Babylon, ancient engineers build structures with pillars no more than 11 feet apart. Any wider and their roofs collapse. To add to this engineering puzzle, in Persepolis the pillars are much narrower too.
This doesn't make any sense. Usually if you want to have a huge structure, you need to compensate the distance between the pillars by wider columns. But here is quite opposite.
How do the Persian engineers achieve this remarkable feat of engineering? The answer lies in the beautifully carved capitals on the 65-foot-tall columns. Perched at the top of each pillar is a huge sculpture of a two-headed beast. Each one weighs up to 10 tons and stretches 12 feet wide. Ali examines a broken capital that now lies on the palace floor.
It might seem strange to have such heavy load on top. But by having such a wide capitals, it reduces the distance between load exertion points.
Animal sculptures placed back to back on the column capitals function as brackets to support a wooden roof beam. A short block across their flat backs broadens the capital to support additional beams, so the builders can construct the roof on top.
These capitals are not just some beautiful elements. They are key structural components.
The Apadana Palace is a true feat of engineering. How do the ancient architects create its groundbreaking design? Ali surveys the site.
What's striking when you view to the building on the terrace, there is a harmony to the layout of this structure. Everything fits together perfectly.
The measurements reveal a recurring pattern.
The same ratio of 1.618 can be seen everywhere. The height of the entrance with their width, the height of the columns to the adjacent columns. These proportions are based on a mathematical principle called golden ratio.
The golden ratio is an enigmatic number found in nature, art, and architecture. The Parthenon in Athens is an ancient wonder, built 70 years after the Apadana Palace. 58 towering columns wrap around this colossal temple, proudly boasting its engineering achievements. The proportions of its floor plan, columns, and facade use the golden ratio, just like the Apadana Palace. A Persian engineering marvel may have served as the blueprint for this wonder of the ancient world.
What's incredible is that we can see these mathematical principles here before Greek mathematicians begin studying its properties.
The design of the Apadana Palace is truly groundbreaking for its time. The Persians incorporate precise proportions into its plan to create an imposing building, the likes of which have never been seen before. Its lofty ceilings, tall columns, and huge central hall are a clear display of the power, wealth, and glory the Persian kings possess. The Apadana Palace is a structural masterpiece built using some of the most advanced technologies the world has ever seen. It embodies lessons the Persians learned from the rest of the ancient world. How do the ancient engineers carve out the huge blocks for this stone city? And what can Darius the Great's final resting place reveal about how the Persian kings rule over their enormous empire? The lost city of Persepolis is a marvel of the ancient world. At its heart, a splendid palatial complex stands on an immense terrace carved out of a mountain. Its walls constructed from huge stone blocks, each one 5 feet wide and weighing up to 30 tons, stacked together with surgical precision. In the lower city are colossal buildings and massive monolithic gates. How do the ancient engineers construct this architectural marvel out of stone and create a permanent symbol of power for the Persian Empire? Clues can be found in the ancient stone quarries that surround Persepolis. Kurash Mohammad Hani investigates. The stone here is calcite limestone. It's the main material builders use in the magnificent palaces of Persepolis.
What's great about calcite is it's a fairly soft, easy to cut, shape, and smooth. It's also strong, which allows the architect to build huge buildings.
Kurash explores further. He searches for clues to how ancient workers quarried the stone used at Persepolis.
What's amazing here, this site has been untouched over 2,000 years.
He inspects the rocky surface.
Looking closely, I can see chisel mark of the ancient stone worker here.
Huge, half-carved limestone blocks remain unfinished on the cliff face. These blocks range in weight from 2 to 50 tons each. Workers carve the blocks and load them onto wooden rafts to float them downriver to Persepolis. On the building site, they chisel the blocks into shape and smooth them down with rasps and files. Then they polish the blocks with the skin of sharks or the fibers of palm trees to achieve a marble-like sheen. Finally, the workers use cranes to lift the blocks into place on the palace terraces. The city's stone quarries reveal some of the rarest and most advanced engineering techniques in the ancient world. But the ancient builders of Persepolis face a problem. Persia sits on a major fault line between the African, Arabian, and Eurasian plates. This makes it prone to earthquakes. How do the engineers ensure the huge stone buildings of Persepolis don't collapse when hit by a seismic shockwave? A clue can be found 25 miles from Persepolis at the tomb of the city's founder, Cyrus the Great. Built at the same time as Persepolis, Cyrus's tomb stands on a pyramidal base made up of huge limestone blocks. Incredibly, experts believe it is the earliest evidence of an earthquake-resistant structure. If a building is rigid and firmly set in the ground, it absorbs the shockwave energy from earthquakes, causing it to collapse. Cyrus builds his tomb over a bed of small flat stones and a base of 3 smooth cut stone layers with no mortar in between, so that in an earthquake, the upper layers can slide over the lower ones, dissipating the shockwave energy and protecting the tomb. At Persepolis, the engineers go further to ensure its buildings are structurally sound.
What's incredible here is that each stone block is unique. There is no standardization of size.
The blocks are stacked together like a giant jigsaw puzzle and positioned so precisely a sheet of paper can barely fit between the cracks.
If you look at the corner of this stone here, has 6 sides that interlock by adjacent stone. This makes the whole structure much more stable.
Over hundreds of years, several huge earthquakes hit Persepolis. Just one of these is enough to flatten a city. But the palace complex remains unscathed during its prime. All down to the ingenuity of the builders of this lost city. The cutting-edge technology at Persepolis allows the Persian kings to create an ancient wonder. A stone statement of the power and glory of the Persian Empire. Are the skilled builders of Persepolis part of a giant slave army imported from across the mighty Persian Empire? Is slavery the key to its success and its incredible rise to power? Persepolis, capital of the mighty Persian Empire and a marvel of ancient engineering. Its wonders stand toe-to-toe with the greatest architectural achievements of antiquity. The 7 wonders of the ancient world rest on spectacular feats of engineering. The Great Pyramid of Giza, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the Temple of Artemis, the Colossus of Rhodes, and the Lighthouse of Alexandria, all inspire awe and wonder. But the 7 wonders are all built by societies that use slave labor. Is Persepolis built by slaves? Does slave labor power the mighty Persian Empire? A clue can be found at the royal treasury of Persepolis. An enormous building housing the accumulated wealth of the Persian Empire.
Royal Treasury is one of the oldest buildings of Persepolis. According to the Greek writers, it holds more than 2,500 tons of gold, equivalent with $100 billion today.
But it's not gold archaeologists discover when they dig here. At the southeast corner of the terrace complex, excavators unearth a mysterious set of clay tablets. The majority are inscribed in an ancient language called Elamite.
Over 700 tablets are found here. They are mostly receipt payments and invoices.
At the edge of the Great Stone Terrace, archaeologists discover even more tablets. Today, they're stored on site at the archives of Persepolis. Ali has been given special access to study them up close.
By discovering these tablets, we have a primary source which can tell us what was happening in Persepolis and in Persian Empire.
Before their discovery, most information about Persepolis comes from secondary sources, such as the Greeks writing over 200 years later. Now, experts have a contemporary record written in Persepolis's prime.
The number is incredible. There are over 30,000 tablets discovered in Persepolis. The sheer volume of these tablets evidence Persians' skill in administration and record keeping.
The huge number of tablets suggests Persepolis is an administrative center for the Persian Empire.
The number of languages written here show us that Persepolis was a highly sophisticated and multicultural society.
But there's a problem. The tablets have been smashed into hundreds of thousands of fragments. To discover all the secrets of the shattered tablets, experts must put the fragments back together. They painstakingly search for telltale patterns and phrases. They piece them together to recreate the tablets and reveal the text. The tablets are evidence of the incredible organization of the city and of a highly complex economy.
It details taxes, property rights, rations for animals even, as well as nationalities, skills, and payment to the workers.
Incredibly, the tablets also reveal the laborers at Persepolis aren't slaves, but handsomely paid workers.
What's incredible about these documents, they show that workers were paid in silver. It must be one of the most prestigious construction work in the ancient time.
The tablets reveal Persepolis is at the epicenter of an economic revolution. Hundreds of scribes document every financial transaction. They write one receipt for the state and one for the worker. They pay workers of all social ranks in wine, sheep, and grain, and in later years, silver coins. They pay men and women equally, and mothers get paid maternity leave, rights only introduced in the Western world in the last century.
This shows Persepolis is a very forward-thinking, advanced community, way ahead of its time.
The tablets reveal the key to the Persian Empire's success lies in its administrative skills. In Persepolis, the Persians build a huge bureaucracy to help the emperor manage his massive empire. How does Darius ensure the loyalty of his subjects and keep his vast territories under control? Hidden clues at his final resting place may reveal answers. And discoveries unearthed at Persepolis provide evidence of the Persian Empire's legendary army. The lost city of Persepolis in present-day Iran. A testament to the power and wealth of the Persian emperors, and key to understanding their incredible success. Under the reign of Darius, Persia is the largest empire the ancient world has ever seen. How do the Persian kings keep peace throughout the empire? Clues can be found at the royal necropolis, 4 miles north of the terraced palaces of Persepolis. Behind the 120 feet tall carved facades, are deep caverns, extending nearly 35 feet into the cliffs. Inside, they are split into 3 vaults, each containing 3 coffins. Above the tomb entrance, an intricate carving shows Darius the Great with his subject nations making offerings to a Persian god. In the time of Darius, Persians don't bury their dead. So why does he build this necropolis? And what can it reveal about how he rules his vast empire? Ali Asadi investigates the royal tombs of the Persian kings. Each one is a sculptural masterpiece stretching 60 feet wide. King Darius the Great's tomb sits center place in the ancient necropolis.
This type of tomb was first used here by Darius himself. In upper part of this cross, we see Darius standing before the great Iranian god Ahura Mazda.
Ahura Mazda is a god in the Zoroastrian faith, the main religion of ancient Persia. It is one of the world's oldest religions.
Zoroastrians usually put the body of dead people in a special tower to be exposed and consumed by the vultures. The tomb of Darius is very unusual in Persia. The earliest and most famous rock-cut tombs are in Egypt.
Darius chooses a tomb inspired by Egyptian architecture for his final resting place, breaking away from Persian traditions. Why? What can this choice reveal about how Darius runs his vast empire? A clue can be found on the edge of the Persian Empire, over 1,000 miles from Persepolis in Egypt. Buried beneath the desert sands of Saqqara lies the Serapeum, a huge mausoleum built for a mysterious ancient Egyptian cult. Every chamber holds a massive granite sarcophagus. But these aren't coffins for kings. Inside each sarcophagus are the intricately mummified remains of an Apis bull. The ancient Egyptians believe these bulls are the incarnation of the Egyptian god Osiris. Can clues unearthed here reveal why Darius breaks away from Persian traditions? Mohammed Youssef is an archaeologist at the Egyptian Antiquities Ministry. He investigates this strange ancient cult site.
Inside the Serapeum, we have at least 24 sarcophagus.
Each sacred bull burial is commissioned by a ruling pharaoh. How does the Serapeum inspire Darius's strange break from Persian tradition? Persia rules Egypt between the 6th and 4th centuries BC. Muhammad searches for cult bulls buried during this period.
According to the plan of the Serapeum, it's all put in the chronological order, from the beginning to the end.
In a hidden corner, he finds a huge granite sarcophagus.
We have a line of hieroglyphics here. It is very rough. You see, it's very weak.
The faint markings reveal the name of the Persian king that buries this bull.
Oh, here it is. The cartouche of Cambyses.
Cambyses II is the son and successor to Cyrus the Great and the conqueror of Egypt.
This is a hieroglyphic line, and this is the name which Egyptians gave for him, Misuti Ra.
This is evidence that Cambyses respects the cult and buries a bull here. But what about his successor, Darius the Great? There is no cult bull sarcophagus in the Serapeum that bears the name of the Persian king. But Muhammad believes evidence of Darius's involvement can be found on a stele discovered in an empty tomb. It reveals the date it is built and the name of the ruler who orders its construction.
The tomb here dates back to 34 years from the rule of King Darius. This still is proof that Persepolis is buried here from the time of King Darius.
The evidence suggests the Persian kings Darius and Cambyses don't impose their gods or their beliefs on Egypt, but respect the local religion and customs of their newly conquered territory. Not only do they tolerate strange foreign rituals, they participate in them. It's an entirely new method of leadership. And it explains the royal necropolis near Persepolis. Darius's tomb symbolizes the Persian king's willingness to embrace new religion and funerary rites. So much so, he's willing to bet his eternal life on it. Is this the key to how the Persian kings keep peace throughout the empire? George Heath White is an expert in ancient Babylonian texts. He believes a clue to the Persian king's approach to religious tolerance and imperial control can be found on an ancient clay cylinder. The cylinder was discovered in the ruins of Babylon and dates to the 6th century BC. Its surface is covered with 45 lines of text that describe the Persian conquest of the city.
Even though the text is broken, enough of it survives that we can recreate the message of the text.
The damaged cylinder is written in the extinct language of Babylon. Using a piece of soft clay, George begins recreating the ancient text. Reassembled from several broken pieces, the ancient clay cylinder contains a declaration in cuneiform script in the name of Persia's King Cyrus the Great.
It's very damaged, the original cylinder, but we can just make out the word Lemuti, which means evil. Cyrus is saying by writing this cylinder that the king of Babylon, Nabonidus, is disrespectful, he's evil, and Cyrus is going to come in and change that. He's going to come in and be a true Babylonian king.
Cyrus declares that the Babylonian god Marduk sanctions his takeover.
So in Babylonian, this reads, Marduk Belu Rabu Taru Nishishu Ebsheti Damkata Ulibashu Isaru Hadish Ipalis. In this line, Cyrus is trying to show that he's a legitimate ruler. The god Marduk himself chose him to rule.
But Cyrus doesn't just use the foreign religion to justify his rule. He also appears to grant religious and cultural freedom to his new subjects. When Cyrus conquers Babylon, he finds the city is filled with people captured by the Babylonian kings.
The Babylonian kings had taken a bunch of different people into exile. The Assyrians, people called the Gutians, people from modern-day Syria and Egypt, but also the Jews from Judah.
Cyrus sets the captive people free.
So here we read in Babylonian, Nishishunu upahirama utir dadmishun. And that means, I gathered all the people and returned them to their settlements.
Those who stay are free to follow their own religion.
This policy was incredibly unusual. He's letting them worship their own gods and have their own cultural identity.
But is Cyrus true to his word, or is this all just Persian propaganda? George believes a clue can be found in the Bible. The Old Testament book of Ezra records Cyrus's move.
Thus saith Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord God of heaven hath given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he hath charged me to build him an house at Jerusalem. So Cyrus is decreeing here, just like in the Cyrus cylinder, that the Jews could return home.
The book of Ezra also praises Cyrus's successors.
So we see that the Persian kings Darius and Artaxerxes also had this policy of religious tolerance.
The Cyrus cylinder reveals the Persians' revolutionary religious tolerance and how they run their empire. But even with these policies, not everyone wants to join the mighty Persian Empire. How does Darius use his formidable army to force rebellious nations into submission? Clues at Persepolis reveal the terrifying might of the Persian military and their elite warriors. And new discoveries in the remote corners of the empire reveal the secret to their military success. In the 6th century BC, the Persian kings build Persepolis. It is the richest city in the world and capital to an enormous empire. But just 200 years earlier, they control only a small territory. How do the Persians come to dominate the ancient world with such speed? In Persepolis, archaeologists unearth a mysterious building that could explain this incredible rise to power. It's an extraordinary ancient megastructure. In Persia's Golden Age, this is the largest building in Persepolis after the Apadana Palace, the Throne Hall. Inside it, precisely 100 columns rise up to create a space the size of an aircraft hangar. Here, the Persian king shows off his most fearsome tool, his army. There is room for 5,000 soldiers, only a tiny fraction of the Persian army, which, according to legend, numbers 1 million men. How do they conquer the world? Sophie Downs hunts for clues in Sardis, in modern-day Turkey. Over 1,500 miles away from Persepolis, this ancient capital city is one of the first to fall to the Persians.
It expanded their empire to the west, towards its furthest western reach.
Sophie investigates the fall of the city. She examines a section of the site, a massive trench 20 feet deep.
In the courtyard of this house, the body of an old man was found. He was a civilian, so this suggests that it wasn't just the soldiers that died in the sack, but many civilians as well.
Analysis of the mutilated bones reveals lethal wounds all over the body. He is only one of many victims of the attack. The evidence reveals the ferocity of the Persian assault. But Sophie thinks there's more to the story. She wants to find out what happens to Sardis after the Persian victory.
There are numerous burn marks across the city, which suggests that it was pretty comprehensively burnt to the ground.
The city's fortification wall, made of mud brick, is reduced to a melted and vitrified mass. It is evidence of the intensity of the fire that devours Sardis.
The archaeological evidence suggests that it may have been more brutal than we thought.
Sardis becomes a Persian city. The fall of this powerful capital shocks the ancient world. the Persian army gains a fierce reputation and forces many neighboring nations to submit. How do the Persians become such remarkable warriors? Once more, the answer lies in Persepolis. Ali examines an intriguing carving on the northern entrance to the palace.
These soldiers are part of the Persian national army with their lances. Here we see the daggers. They were very well trained and strong.
As he looks close up, Ali finds imagery of the army all around Persepolis. Among them, Persia's most infamous brigade.
These are elites of the Persian army, immortals. They were very well skilled because they were the bodyguards of the most important person in the empire, the king of the kings.
The images reveal that the Persian army is divided into specialist forces. Ali believes this is crucial to their success. In battle, the soldiers follow a strategy that weakens the enemy until complete surrender. The Persian archers start off the attack. They hide behind a shield wall and shoot 100,000 arrows per minute to decimate the enemy. Then comes the notorious Persian cavalry. They harass the enemy with hit-and-run attacks, shooting arrows and throwing spears. And finally, Persia's elite infantry, the Immortals. They are the most feared fighters. In their tight formation, fallen soldiers are replaced immediately, making it seem like they are impossible to kill. With this elite army, the Persians create one of the biggest empires the world has ever seen. But with an empire so large, how quickly can the king strike back if there's trouble far from his base in Persepolis? Clues unearthed in the far-flung corners of the empire may provide the answer. And at Persepolis, new investigations reveal a mysterious labyrinth of tunnels hidden beneath the lost city. Carved into the mountains of southern Iran, archaeologists rediscover the lost city of Persepolis. It is at the heart of a huge empire that covers an area over 2.1 million square miles. Clues inside this stone metropolis help unlock the mysteries of the gigantic Persian Empire.
The inscriptions at Persepolis talk about how the empire extends from the shores of one sea to the shores of another sea, from one desert to another desert.
How do the Persians rule such an enormous expanse of land? The answer could lie with a huge engineering structure built by Persia's most powerful king, Darius I. Ancient writers say that King Darius builds a vast road across his empire. It is surfaced with packed gravel and is over 20 feet wide in some places. It's called the Royal Road, an ancient superhighway, the first of its kind in the world. Alongside it, Darius builds way stations, stopping points where people can rest. Comfortable living quarters surround an open courtyard where travelers from all cultures meet. Is Darius's Royal Road really as impressive as legends say? Ali Asadi is on a mission to find traces of the lost road at Persepolis. He examines the site around the city.
In this small valley, there are some remains of a cut mountain. We think maybe these belong to part of a royal road.
This mountain stands directly between Persepolis and another major Persian city, Pasargad. Ali believes the only way to connect the cities is to cut through it.
The most important and impressive part, which is cut on the mountain, is 10-meter high.
The ancient Persians carve a 30-foot valley through solid rock. This rare find here supports the legend. Nothing seems to stand in the way of Darius's ambitious building project. But can he really extend the royal road to all the corners of the huge empire? Berçan Adisonmez investigates in Amasya, in northern Turkey, over 1,200 miles from Persepolis. Here, he and his team make a remarkable discovery.
We have discovered this road here, made of cobblestones and knit together in close proximity.
Local rulers used nearby materials to build this road. But Berçan suspects it could be part of the Persian road network. He examines the site and identifies a strange structure.
We have a fire altar here. This place is where the early Zoroastrian religious practices were implemented and the worshipping is done.
Zoroastrianism is the ancient religion of the Persians. For Berçan, this is conclusive proof.
The road is a Persian road.
This incredible find is evidence that Darius's road network spreads all the way to northern Turkey, 1,200 miles from the city of Persepolis. But how fast can an imperial courier travel on the royal road? Ancient Greek accounts provide tantalizing clues.
Herodotus tells us that the Persians had a system for sending messages along the royal road, which could travel about 2,000 miles in 9 days.
A messenger on horseback would normally take 2 months for a journey of this length. Sophie wants to find out if the Persians can do it in 9 days. She thinks the way stations Darius builds could hold the answer. She marks out the places where archaeologists find remains.
Here we have 3 way stations that have actually been found in the archaeology, and they're in a line, and they're about 15 miles apart from each other.
If the Persians position rested horses and men at each station, the couriers can work as a relay. Each courier can travel the distance between 2 way stations at full speed and pass on the message to the next horseman. Over a day, the message would cover an astonishing 180 miles.
That means that you could cover a distance of 2,000 miles in about 12 to 14 days. So Herodotus is maybe slightly exaggerating, but he's actually pretty accurate.
Darius's massive communication network is the fastest in the ancient world. It is so efficient that it's still remembered today.
Herodotus also says that neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night could stop the couriers, and this is still the motto of the US Postal Service today.
If anything happens in the extreme corners of the Persian Empire, the king can find out about it in under 2 weeks. He can respond swiftly to any challenge to his rule and quickly restore control. Darius's road network stretches from the Indus Valley all the way to the Mediterranean, spanning a staggering 2,300 miles. He uses it to quickly send messengers, as well as his army, to every corner of his empire. He also builds the first Suez Canal, linking the Red Sea to the Nile, providing easy access to all of Egypt. It is monumental, wide enough for 2 of his warships to pass each other, giving the Persians commercial and military control of the region. Darius's communication network is crucial in controlling the vast empire. It ensures his presence everywhere. But why do the Persians construct their new imperial city here? Leaders usually build new cities in strategic locations. Why do they build Persepolis seemingly in the middle of nowhere on a desert mountain? A mysterious labyrinth of winding tunnels hidden beneath the palaces of Persepolis may provide the answer. And what can hidden treasure in his vast palace reveal about how King Darius controls his massive empire? Persepolis, in modern-day Iran, administrative capital to the ancient Persian Empire. But it's built in a brutal, arid landscape, halfway up a mountain. Why do the Persians choose to build their glorious capital here? A clue lies buried beneath the palace complex. A web of tunnels spreads 2 miles under the terrace. In one of them, archaeologists discover over a dozen skeletons, possible victims of a bloody conflict, unceremoniously dumped here, over 2 centuries after Persepolis is built. But this tunnel system is too large to be a tomb. Deep shafts connect the tunnels to the surface at strategic locations. What is this network hidden under the royal palaces? Can they help explain why the Persians carved their capital into the rocks? Ali Asadi investigates.
We have these channels below all of the palaces and courtyards.
The tunnels are a remarkable feat of ancient engineering, as high as 20 feet in places.
The greatness of the channels surprised me.
Some of the walls are carved roughly into the terrace foundations. But Ali discovers that many sections are built up from the ground.
Some parts are made with big blocks of stones. These stones are jointly very well with each other.
This is clear evidence that the tunnels are constructed before the palace complex above. Ali believes the well-thought-out design of the underground network provides clues to its purpose.
There are some small vertical shafts in the key areas on the terrace, and there are a gentle gradient inside of the tunnels. All of these indicates that the Persepolis tunnels were used as underground waterways.
The design and layout of the structure suggest the underground tunnels are part of an elaborate water management system at Persepolis.
The tunnel system of Persepolis is designed to catch and drain the wastewater. This is one of the most advanced water technologies in the ancient world.
The water tunnels could help explain why the Persians build their new city here. A good source of water must be nearby. Where is it? Persepolis is built at the feet of the Zagros mountain range. Ali investigates the rocky surface of the slope.
These mountains are from limestones, a fine powder stone which water could penetrate inside.
Rainwater seeps into the porous stone of the mountain and comes out in springs that flow across the slope.
These springs may be one of the factors or choose this place for making the Persepolis terrace.
Persepolis's location is the perfect place to catch all this water. Engineers build the city into the mountain, near these natural springs, so there is a constant supply of water throughout the year. They construct subterranean tunnels to transport runoff water to underground storage tanks. the Persians' skill in water engineering allows them to create an oasis in the desert. 2,500 years ago, exotic plants populate the city's lavish gardens, called pardis, the origin of the word paradise. The green spaces extend beyond the city walls. Further down the mountain, the Persians plant olive and walnut trees. Beyond, settlements and lush farmlands stretch as far as the eye can see. Against all odds, the Persians appear to conquer nature. How do they spread water across the vast landscape to create their green paradise? Ali heads to Pasargad, 25 miles north of Persepolis, to investigate. This is the first Persian capital, built a few generations earlier.
We think that all of the area inside the pasargad and the landscape of this area are very green, quite different with today.
At the ancient site, Ali examines an intriguing set of limestone channels.
They are built by very good carved stones. And each 15 meters, there are small pools there.
The channels have small basins every 50 feet and carry water to all corners of the city. The same infrastructure is used in Persepolis, but on a much larger scale. New geophysical surveys unveil a series of canals designed to funnel water from the mountains to the Persian capital. Some of them are over 12 miles long. Near the ruins of Persepolis, traces of lines crisscross the landscape. These are the remnants of a huge irrigation network across the plains. The Persians develop an ingenious system, harnessing the power of gravity to transport water across vast distances. The Persian king Darius builds a city that defies nature. It stands in the middle of a mountainous desert, but is as verdant as a savanna. Visitors to Persepolis behold a triumph over nature, a symbol of power more potent than the city's ramparts.
We can imagine that for a foreigner who expected to see a dry country, it was really astonishing and amazing when they saw green land everywhere.
King Darius wants to constantly remind the world of the might of his empire and his overarching power. What can hidden treasure in his vast palace reveal about King Darius's mighty propaganda machine? And can new discoveries unearthed at Persepolis provide clues to the downfall of the world's first great empire? Persepolis, a marvel of ancient engineering and a symbol of the incredible power of King Darius the Great.
The closer you get to the king and to his private palaces, the more aware you're made of how powerful the king is.
How does he spread his message of supreme power across the empire? Inside his magnificent palace, archaeologists make an intriguing discovery. In one corner of the Apadana Palace, investigators unearth a treasure hoard. Stone boxes containing tablets made from solid silver and gold. They are inscribed with Darius's name and tell of the scale of his great empire. Beneath them, more treasure. Gold coins stamped with a lion and a bull. The insignia of Lydia, a kingdom within the Persian Empire. They are some of the first coins ever created. How does Darius use this invention to control his vast empire? Sophie Downs believes clues may lie in the ancient Lydian city of Sardis. On the edge of the city, Sophie finds traces of ancient gold working.
What you can see here is a burn level. So this seems to be a furnace which was used to refine the gold.
Here in Sardis, the Lydian people develop an invention that revolutionizes the world.
The Lydians were the first to introduce coinage, and they would have made it from the metal that they refined right here.
The Persians conquer Lydia and adopt their revolutionary coinage. Lydian gold coins are used in Persepolis and throughout the empire. Soon, the Persians mint coins of their own.
These are made out of pure gold. They're called darics. These were minted for the first time under King Darius. The image on them on the front is of the king as an archer, and he's running forwards across the coin. So very energetically attacking the world through his coinage.
Darius stamps military imagery on his royal gold coin. Sophie believes this decision is clever politics.
These were used to pay the mercenaries in his army. Having an image of Darius on the coin creates a direct connection between the soldiers and Darius. Soldiers know that this is who is paying them and who is giving them orders.
Darius uses the coins as propaganda, ensuring his army's loyalty. The military imagery also keeps the empire afraid and obedient. But his successors go even further. Sophie investigates another coin called a tiaret.
They're called tiaret because on the front of the coin there's the head of a figure wearing a tiara, which is a band of cloth which Persian soldiers wore around their heads in battle. So again, this is a military image. It's generally thought this is the head of the Persian king.
This coin is used beyond the borders of the empire into Greece. But Greek coins usually depict gods rather than kings.
So on this coin, the head of the Persian king is occupying the same space that on some Greek coins is occupied by the head of a deity. It's possible that there's some kind of equivalence intended.
The King of Kings places himself in the position of a god and pushes this image into the hands of his distant neighbors. Why does he want the Greeks in particular to receive this message?
The Persians have a pretty fraught relationship with the Greek city-states.
In 545 BC, Cyrus the Great conquers the Greek region of Ionia, giving him vital access to the Aegean Sea. But 50 years later, the Greeks rebel. They attack Sardis and burn it to the ground. The Persians, under Darius, invade Greece. After a 13-year struggle, they take Athens and raze it in revenge. But within days, the Greeks trounce the Persian fleet in the nearby Straits of Salamis, marking a turning point in the decades-long war. The Greek city-states are Persia's greatest enemy. So the Persian kings use coinage to show them their extraordinary reach and power. What consequences does this enduring rivalry have for Persepolis? New discoveries unearthed beneath the lost city may help explain the fall of the greatest empire of the ancient world. From the mighty capital of Persepolis, the Persian kings rule over most of the known ancient world. Their power over the empire is absolute, so they don't even fortify the perimeter of this magnificent city. But that leaves it exposed. What happens to Persepolis? Ali investigates the remains of the great city.
Limestones in Persepolis are gray, and when they are white, it means that something's happened. The reason of this discoloration could be high temperature or a severe fire.
Ali finds the same discolorations across the city. This is shocking evidence that Persepolis suffers a devastating fire.
Traces of ash, charcoals, and collapsed stones are almost everywhere seen in Persepolis. It burned all of the city.
In the tunnels beneath the palace complex, Ali and his team unearth further evidence of a brutal attack on the city. In the southern channel of the treasury, he discovers a huge deposit of ash and charcoal, up to 2 feet thick, and the remains of former residents of Persepolis, seen here for the first time.
One of these skulls we think belonged in the same time that Persepolis was catching fire. We think maybe this individual, he tried to hide inside of the tunnels, but he couldn't survive.
Experts are yet to forensically examine the skeletons and determine how the people died. But the evidence suggests the skulls date to the downfall of the great city.
According to the stratigraphy of excavation, we think it was immediately or shortly after attack to Persepolis.
Persepolis, the once mighty and untouchable city, is attacked. The Persians failed to defend their capital, and it is burned to the ground. Who leads this audacious assault? It is Alexander the Great, the mighty Greek king who topples the magnificent Persian capital. In the 4th century BC, Alexander rampages across the Persian Empire. Starting out from Macedonia, he conquers Anatolia, Egypt, and Mesopotamia, all the while heading to Persepolis. He uses Darius's royal road to march his vast army across the desert and attacks the great city. Persepolis falls in only a few days. Alexander burns it to the ground as payback for the Persians' burning of Athens. The Persian Empire that rules over most of the known world for over 200 years is incorporated into Alexander the Great's new imperial powerhouse. But Alexander follows in the steps of the astounding achievements of the ancient Persians.
Alexander is only able to achieve his very brief empire because he's taking over the Persian Empire. This whole idea of creating empire on such a large scale does go back really to Persians.
The Persians conquer most of the known ancient world. Ruling over 23 nations across 2 million square miles, they absorb their wealth and knowledge to create their mighty capital, Persepolis. A majestic city richer than any other. Its magnificent palaces stand toe-to-toe with the wonders of the ancient world. With cutting-edge technology and remarkable feats of engineering, the Persian kings create a lush paradise in the desert and populate it with a highly sophisticated multicultural society, leaving behind a legacy of how to rule the ancient world.